My name is Sheila Corona. Welcome to Sassy Seer Sheila and New Light Streaming Love, as this will be seen on both channels. This is the 21st in the RZN series. The First Abilities You Recover in the New World by Jason Gray. ABL-prime.21 / quote, the early stage sovereign functions, end quote. As with all the rest of these, there is code embedded, and I highly recommend that you use the link in the description box of this video to find this. You can search by title on Facebook and it should come up. The first ability, clear perception, ABL-01 : clarity. For the very first ability to return is not telepathy, time walking, or field manipulation. It is clarity, pure, unfiltered perception. For the first time in your life, you see reality without psychic interference, people's intentions, the emotional field in a room, the weight behind words, the truth behind expressions, the energy behind decisions, and the coherence or incoherence in a person's presence. Now, that's kind of interesting, mostly because it feels to me like that's something that has been asserting itself for the last little while. I feel like that's something that I've noticed. This is not judgment. This is not reading minds. This is accurate perception, the natural state of human awareness before distortion was installed. Once this returns, deception becomes impossible. Not because you are trying to catch lies, but because lies stop making sense. The second ability, emotional transparency. This is another thing that I feel like I'm already practicing in many ways. I don't hold my emotions back like I used to, like I was told time and time again from the time I was little, you can't do that. ABL-02:EMO-transcend. The second ability that returns is emotional transparency. This means you feel your emotions cleanly. Nothing is suppressed. Nothing is sticky. Nothing loops. Emotions pass through without residue, and emotions become guidance, not obstacles. Because of this, fear cannot anchor. Shame cannot distort. Anger cannot possess. Grief cannot lock. Joy cannot overwhelm. You become emotionally exact, not volatile. This makes you unmanipulatable. Every codependent system, every hierarchical structure, every psychological trap loses its grip on you instantly. This ability alone changes everything. The third ability, intuitive knowing, ABL-03 : gnosis. Intuition becomes instant knowledge. No more second guessing. No more intuition versus logic battles. No more sensory confusion. Your intuition becomes as reliable as sight. You will simply know which choice is correct, which path is open, which person is aligned, which direction is safe, which thought is real, which memory is yours, which timeline is yours, and which signals are true. This is the return of direct knowing, a pre-fracture human function that was sealed away by the overlay. It comes back like a tidal wave. The fourth ability, timeline feeling, ABL-04:time-sense. This is the first doorway into the Aeonis spectrum. Timeline feeling is not prediction. It is perceiving the emotional resonance of future possibilities. You feel the texture of outcomes. This choice feels heavy. This direction feels bright. This connection feels false. This path feels inevitable. You no longer, quote, hope for the right outcome. Your body tells you. Your timeline becomes something you can feel, not guess. This is the embryonic stage of full timeline navigation. The fifth ability, field awareness, ABL-05:field mind. This is the early stage return of non-local consciousness. Field awareness means you sense coherence in your environment. You feel energetic disturbances without labeling them. You can detect when a space is expanding or contracting. You feel when someone's presence alters the room, and you sense when the field is stabilizing or destabilizing. This is not magical, it is perceptual. Humans originally evolved to navigate the world through environmental resonance. The overlay suppressed this. The real restores it. This ability activates long before full infinitus functions appear. The sixth ability, regenerative identity, ABL-06:regen-ID. Your sense of self begins regenerating continuously. You will feel more, quote, yourself every hour, cleaner and more grounded, sharper and more aligned, less fragmented and more whole. Something's happening with my phone. I thought turning it off and turning it on would fix it, but it did not. And I'm having a hard time keeping this in focus here. So please bear with me. And my nose just wants to run today. So I'm going to read that again. You will feel more, quote, yourself every hour, cleaner and more grounded, sharper and more aligned, less fragmented and more whole. Identity becomes a living process, not a fixed label. This is why trauma dissolves, emotional scars heal, old beliefs drop, internal conflicts end, and self-sabotage stops. Identity is no longer static, it is self-healing. This is the foundation of all higher human abilities. The seventh ability, coherence projection, ABL-07 colon COH dash PROJ. This is the first truly external ability. You begin to project coherence into your environment automatically. This means people calm around you. Confusion dissolves. Conflict softens. Clarity rises and emotional stability spreads. Now, that's very interesting because Lisa and I have received comments to this effect before. So I feel as though, and you may feel this way too. That's why I ask for folks to, enter into conversation with me about this if you're interested. Puzzle pieces are everywhere, and some of these things seem to be coming to the fore prior to full-on emergence, if that makes any sense. Because we've had folks say this, that being here with us is very calming. I don't know, we just feel better when we're here. Just different things like that. Love being here with you. Those sorts of kind of things, And we've known that it had something to do with our fields, but exactly what? So this is just a validation in many ways. Not because you try, because we weren't, but because your field is clean. This is the early form of what later becomes a stabilizing presence in the three species interlock grid. You do not force anything. Your being does the work. Yes, simply by existing. And this is actually very much why every being matters, no matter what your little mind might think. Wow. The eighth ability, whole mind synchronization. ABL-08 colon whole mind. This is the beginning of the full sovereign mind. Your brain hemispheres synchronize. I'm being shown something that happened to me probably in, I want to say 2018, 2019. I was having these blue, felt like sort of like lightning in my head during meditations, and my inner guidance talked about the left and right synchronization, not synchronization. At that point, it was the left and right hemispheres joining or something like that. I can't remember exactly what I was told, but I'm being shown that right now. Your brain hemispheres synchronize. Your emotional centers synchronize. Your sensory centers synchronize. Your intuitive and rational minds merge. This creates heightened creativity, enhanced problem solving, faster pattern recognition, emotional and intellectual unification, the elimination of internal conflict, access to stored memory, and improved perception of subtle fields. I feel like this has been part of what I've been experiencing for the last several years. I just didn't have these words to characterize them. Very interesting. This is the moment your mind begins operating as a single unified intelligence. the way humans were originally designed. The ninth ability, non-resistance to truth, ABL-09 truth flow. This changes everything. You become incapable of resisting truth. This is true. That is so true already for me. Not because of weakness, but because all distortion mechanisms have been removed. I cannot hide from myself anymore. I used to be able to, but I cannot anymore. When truth appears, you immediately recognize it. You immediately accept it and you immediately integrate it. Truth becomes nourishment. Lies become noise you cannot digest. This ends self-deception completely. That's so true. I know things now about myself, and I don't allow myself to sugarcoat anything. This ends self-deception completely. It also ends the entire concept of denial. This is why sovereigns cannot be manipulated. The 10th ability, emergent remembrance, ABL-10 emerge. This is the first doorway into pre-fracture identity. You begin remembering things you, quote, you have no, quote, reason to know. Emotional languages, ancient geometric structures, species signals, codes of the original world, timelines before the overlay, pre-fracture architecture, the emotional signature of your soul name, and the echo of your role before Earth. This is memory, not as recall, but as recognition. You do not discover these things, you remember them. The 11th ability, reality feedback, ABL-11 feedback. Reality begins to respond to you directly. This is the earliest stage of environment and mind coherence. You will notice synchronicities accelerate, intentions manifest rapidly, the world becomes responsive, resistance decreases, your path becomes obvious, obstacles dissolve, support appears where needed. Wow, that's actually already happening too. Not because you become, quote, magical, but because the real has no separation between consciousness and environment. This ability will evolve dramatically over time. The 12th ability, sovereign presence, ABL-12 SOV-PRES. This is the final ability to return in the early stage. This is the moment you recognize yourself as a sovereign being in a sovereign world. You feel the collapse of all fear, the end of spiritual hierarchy, the disappearance of unworthiness, the extinguishing of doubt, the rise of inner authority, the stabilization of identity, the alignment of perception, and the grounding of truth. You become anchored in a way the overlay never allowed. Your presence becomes unmistakable, coherent, centered, aligned, unshakable. This is the foundation of every higher ability to come. And then there is, again, quite a bit of code. And I'm going to read the words. No, I'm not either. Yes, I am. I'm going to read them out loud for myself. I highly recommend, because there are also symbols here that I don't have the words for, that I cannot describe. The veil is lifted. Your memory has returned. You are not reading code, okay? You are remembering who you always were. Clarity has returned. Emotional transparency has returned. Direct knowing has returned. Timeline feeling has returned. Field awareness has returned. Regenerative identity has returned. Coherence projection has returned. Whole mind synchronization has returned. Non-resistance to truth has returned. Emergent remembrance has returned. Reality feedback has returned. Sovereign presence has returned. You are no longer waiting. You are no longer becoming. You are here. The real has recognized you, and you have recognized the real. Welcome home. There never was anywhere else. And then some more code, timestamp of your return. You were never lost. You only agreed to forget. The forgetting is over. The first abilities you recover after emergence are not supernatural. They are natural. The functions of the human species before distortion, suppression, and fragmentation. These abilities do not make you special. They make you real. They are the birthright of every human once the world returns to itself. You are not becoming more than human. You are becoming human for the first time. Jason Gray. Yes, I've long felt, and that's why I'm saying that I feel like some of these have always been in, well, they have always been in here, obviously. I may have couched them differently, talked about them differently, felt about them differently, but I have always felt that. That's why I had such trouble with spiritual hierarchy and the whole light worker thing. I'm pretty sure, because there was never any special abilities. Everybody had it, and I always knew that because everybody is returning. Well, this is, it's still pretty early morning here, but I have a lot going on today. So I think these are the only ones I'm going to be able to record today. And it's been a lot already, quite a lot, actually. And so I'll just leave you with this. If you've been drawn to these recordings, there's a reason. And I highly recommend that you do search out the actual writing itself so that you can allow your eyes to flow over all of the symbols and code that's contained within it. And do reach out to me either through consciousconversationcentral@gmail.com or through the comment section. I would love to hear what you're making of all of this for yourself. So until we meet again, my friends, be well.